Hi, everyone. My name is Jesse Robbins, and welcome to LPLE from Dialogue FM. We're the podcast that lets you practice listening in English. We speak English slowly and clearly so that you can follow along and understand native English speakers more easily. I'm excited to help you improve your English listening skill, as well as help you learn new vocabulary, grammar, and idioms commonly heard in conversations among native English speakers. If you want to practice listening in English, then we invite you to join our conversation. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Jesse.
This week for LPLE, I wanted to talk about something that you and I talked about in the car on the way to this recording studio. It's a particular word in the English language that I realize can be very confusing to people studying the English language.
Definitely, yes.
It's the word put. P-U-T. Now, you and I were talking about all of the many ways that that word can be used, right? We came up with a number of examples.
Yeah. Well, we started with the basic one, and I was originally surprised you wanted to talk about this because the most straightforward meaning of put is easy. It means to place something or to apply something. So you can put lotion on your hands, you can put a book on the table, and that meaning is pretty clear, I think. But as we started to speak about it, you brought up some very good points, that this word means a lot of different things in different contexts.
Right, and depending on the context, a person who is learning English will probably feel very confused if the only meaning of the word put that they know is to apply or to place.
Right.
So I thought we could spend the next few minutes talking about all of the other ways that we can use the word put.
Great. Yeah, let's run through some examples.
The first one is put up, right? P-U-T-U-P. So the first example is put up for sale.
Right. And that means that you are listing an item or announcing that an item is available for sale to people. That might be putting out a sign or listing an item in a store or putting something out on a shelf for sale in a shop.
Right. Probably the easiest way to think about this is to just sell something, right? Mm-hmm. To put up for sale means another way to think about it is you're going to begin selling something,
right,
that originally wasn't being sold. For example, my iPhone, right? Mm-hmm. Later this year.
Right, in September.
They're going to come out with the iPhone 7.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I will want the iPhone 7. But that means that I will not be using my iPhone 6 anymore. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to put my iPhone 6 up for sale.
Right.
The next one is to put up with someone's behavior. So, for example, to put up with somebody.
Right. I put up with Jesse all the time.
I knew you were going to make that example.
And what I mean when I say I put up with Jesse's behavior, it means I am tolerating his behavior even though I may not like it.
Right. That's exactly it. So it means to tolerate even if you don't like it.
So I still spend time with Jesse even though he is annoying, for example. Jesse puts up with me even though I'm obnoxious.
We put up with each other.
Yes.
Another example, married couples put up with each other for many years.
Right, exactly.
Now, another one means to let somebody stay somewhere. So, for example,
Right. We put up our friend at a hotel when they came to visit. That means that we arranged for them to stay in a room in a hotel while they were here. You put someone up for the night. That means you're giving them a place to sleep, a place to stay.
right. So, for example, you are going to be moving houses very soon.
Right.
However, there's 2 weeks where you need a place to stay.
Right. Before
So-
the new house is finished, but while we have to be out of the old house.
Exactly. So our friend, our mutual friend, is going to put you up in his spare room for those 2 weeks.
That's right.
He's going to let you stay there. Okay. So those are the 3 examples of using put up, right? Very different depending on the context.
And we're just getting started.
Exactly. So let's move on to the next one. Put down.
Let's talk about the obvious meaning, because
Oh,
there's
right.
still this core meaning for put that means place. So when you say you put down a box, let's say you were carrying something and you put it on the table, that makes sense in the normal meaning of put.
Right.
We're talking about alternate meanings for put down that aren't talking about placing objects.
The first thing that I could think of was to insult somebody. So, for example, she put her colleague down with an insult. So, colleague means coworker.
Right. And the insult itself could be called a put down.
That's right. That's right. And then the next one.
Right. So it can also mean to kill a living thing, to put it down. So this is often used when you're talking about a pet and you don't want to, and the pet is ill and is not going to survive the illness. You might put it down or put it to sleep, which means you kill it humanely.
With mercy. That's a good distinction, right? So, put down in this context, yes, it means to kill.
But it doesn't mean to murder or to do harm in that way.
That's right. So, in this situation, we're putting down a pet because it is very ill. We feel bad for it. We want to show it mercy.
Right.
And again, we only use this for pets, for animals.
Most of the time, animals, yeah. You wouldn't put down a human.
That's right. That's right. Okay, the next one. Put in. So what's the most obvious use of put in?
Again, this is putting an object inside another object most of the time. I put my letter in the envelope before I mailed it. That's the most straightforward meaning. But we have some other meanings that would be confusing if you thought about it in that way. Put in can also mean to submit something. So you would put in a plea of not guilty in a court case, for example.
Right. In a court of law, your lawyer, right? So if you committed a crime, your lawyer has the option to give your plea in this case. And usually you'll hear the words guilty or not guilty.
Right. Another way to use this meaning is to say you put in a good word for someone, which means you recommended them for something. You're submitting an opinion about them to someone else.
In this case, if I'm applying for a job at your company, T-Mobile, for example.
Right. I can put in a good word for you so that the people at T-Mobile know that I think highly of you and that you are a good candidate for the job.
That's right. And then, of course, we mentioned the most obvious one, again, to put something into something. So every time we have a dinner party and you bring over beer, we put the beer in the refrigerator.
Right.
Very easy. Okay, so then the next one, put out. The most obvious meaning, of course, to place something is I'm going to put something out, typically outside.
Right. You take something that was inside a home, for example, or a container, and you put it outside of that container. You put it out.
Right. Now, alternate meanings can be, for example, to inconvenience somebody. So, for example, if our friend asked us to help him build a house, something that takes a lot of time and a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good friend. However, his request for me to help him build a house put me out.
It is too much trouble for you to do.
That's right. It's very much an inconvenience. I have to take off time from work. I have to spend my own time helping him. So it's an inconvenience. What's the next one?
Put out can also mean that you are annoyed by or bothered by an action or a decision that someone has made. So you can be put out by your neighborhood's decision to plant trees in a yard that you wanted to garden in, for example.
Right. Maybe I don't want trees.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I want to do whatever I want to do with my yard.
Mm-hmm.
However, the neighbors as a group decide we have to plant trees.
Mm-hmm.
We would be very annoyed with that.
Right.
And then the last one of put out can also mean to sleep, to be put to sleep. Right? So, for example, if I go into surgery and I need to be put to sleep, typically I can also say, the doctor gave me drugs that put me out. Right?
You're unconscious
That's
for the duration, the period of time.
That's right. Okay, so that's put out. Now, put on.
We'll start with the basic one. Put something on means to place one thing on another thing. That's like putting lotion on hands. As I said before, you can also put on a shirt to wear it.
That's right.
But the other common usage is to put someone on, which is to say that you are fooling the person or leading them to believe something that is not true.
Correct. So, for example, let's say we have a friend who likes to joke a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They like to make up funny stories.
Mm-hmm.
We could say, he is always putting us on,
right,
which means that he is always fooling us with false stories.
Right.
All right, that's put on. Put off.
Put off can mean a couple of things, actually. You can put something off, meaning you're delaying it from happening. And so maybe we are throwing a party, but we're going to put it off. It was going to be this week, but we don't have time, so we'll put it off to next week.
Right.
Or I have chores I need to do, but I don't want to do them today, so I'll put them off till tomorrow.
We have another word for that. Procrastination. That's a more complicated word, but basically procrastination is the act of delaying or putting something off until later because you don't want to do it now. Right. So another meaning for the word put off is to be annoyed at somebody. So similar to put out. It's a little similar.
Yeah, close.
In this case, you could be put off by someone's behavior. Let's say we go to a party and we meet somebody new. Maybe they've been drinking too much and they're very loud and they're just being very somewhat rude. We can say that, oh, I was put off by their behavior and I didn't want to talk to them anymore.
They made you feel uncomfortable.
That's right.
That is the meaning.
Good. the next one.
Put at is kind of an interesting way to phrase the word, but it means that you are making someone feel a certain way. So if you put someone at ease, you're making them feel relaxed and comfortable. If you put someone on edge, you are making them nervous or anxious by what you're doing.
So it depends on the emotion after the word. So in this case, we gave two examples. Put at is a very common phrase that we use with the word ease or comfort. Mm-hmm. So put at ease. Mm-hmm. However, in your different example, you said put on edge,
right?
Which is a completely different phrase, but it still means to make someone feel something.
Right.
And then the last one we were thinking of is put into. Now, this is extremely straightforward. There's nothing special about this one. It's truly taking something from the outside and putting it in. Mm-hmm. So in this situation, every week I put money into my bank account.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't have to be physical things, though. You can talk about putting your time into something, and that means to invest it. Even if you're not talking about putting an actual object into another object, you can be putting your heart into something, which means that you care about it very much and want to spend time on it.
That's a good point. I can also put an idea into your head. Right? For you to think about later. Mm-hmm. Good. So, as you can see, there's so many ways to use the word put. It depends on the word after it, mm-hmm. and the context.
Right.
What do we have here? We have put up, put down, put in, put out, put on, put off, put at, and put into. Mm-hmm. Good. So for those listening to this podcast, we hope that this gives you a better idea on how to use the word put. Don't worry if you can't remember all of it. Remember, you can always listen to this podcast again. Thank you for listening to this episode of LPLE. Let's practice listening in English from Dialogue FM. Subscribe to LPLE on iTunes to hear the latest episodes, or listen to past episodes on our website, dialogue.fm. That's dialog.fm. If you have questions or comments about English, or if you would like for us to use a word, grammar, or idiom in our conversation so you can learn how to use it correctly, we would love to hear from you on Twitter at dialogue.fm or Facebook at facebook.com/dialoguefm. Andrew, there's another meaning to the word put out.
There is, and we should bring this up for people so that they know about it. This is the bonus meaning for the word put out.
You get to say it.
It is slang for having sex with someone, but we use it to mean that the person allowed you to have sex with them. So they put out, meaning they were available for sex with you.
For example, person A, we can say person A likes to put out on the first date.
Right. That means,
which means the person A likes to have sex on the first date.
Right.
Enjoy.